Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will be right here waiting for you. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guests Tim and Marie. This is the podcast where all four of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater, and now we're going to talk about it in Matt's Honda Pilot in the parking structure right next to the theater. We're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Do you need to see it in theaters? Can you wait for streaming? Should you bring a date? Can you bring your kids? Should you go by yourself? Should you snack? Should you nap? Should you craft? All those things. Sometimes all of them, sometimes none of them. You know, we try our best. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy. And yes, we saw a movie. We're going to talk about it. This movie is called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, the long-awaited sequel. Well, maybe some people awaited it. Maybe some people didn't. But anyway, it's certainly a long time since the first one, 35 years. But we saw it tonight. Tim, who's in this movie that we may know of?
Well, a lot of returning cast, including, of course, Michael Keaton himself as Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Don't say it 3 times. He's been around forever, obviously. Batman and what was the one he won the Oscar for? Birdman. And he's been, just in movies over the years, and he's a frequent Tim Burton person.
Mr. Bomb. Hondo.
Yes. Winona Ryder is back as Lydia, the teenager in the first one. In this one time, she's a mom. And, of course, she's been around a long time as well. And I think, her Stranger Things kind of brought her back into, mainstream.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then Catherine O'Hara is back as her mom in this, and playing... Stepmom, sorry, yes, correct. Yes, just pretty much picked up right where she left off as well. Jenna Ortega is new to the franchise. She is playing Lydia's daughter in this. Of course, most famous, she's been in the Scream movies and the recent ones, and she's Wednesday Addams on the Netflix show. And we have Monica Bellucci showing up in this. She's an actress who's been around a long time. She's been in the Matrix movies. She was in, wasn't she the Spectre? I think she was one of the Bond girls in that.
She was a Bond girl, yeah.
Yes,
Not
she's
Spectre.
been around a long time
Spectre.
now.
Yeah.
And Willem Dafoe shows up in this as one of the undead people, like a movie action star pretending to be a cop. It's a Willem Dafoe role for sure. And Tim Burton directs it again. And it's kind of a get together of the original crew for the most part.
Well, yeah. So, how to talk about this movie? What is this movie about? Well, the setting, if you haven't seen Beetlejuice, the original, the setting is similar. It's back to this town, and half of it's set in the living world, and half of it's set in the undead world. Beetlejuice is the character from the undead world who's always scheming to try to get to the real world and be set loose on the living world. So that's his motivation, and he wants to do that, namely by marrying Lydia Dietz. That's the right name, right?
Yes.
Yes. Played by Winona Ryder, as he was trying to do 35 years ago. So that's a motivation for him, and then we have the daughter, whose name is... Astrid, yes. Astrid Dietz is on the scene. She gets into some trouble, and that's where the worlds start colliding. She makes kind of a deal with the dead, with the ghost, and gets caught up in the underworld. And then the race is on. Deals are made. People go to the underworld. People come out of the underworld. And it all culminates in a massive wedding sequence. So that's
Again.
that's what the movie's about. And that's all I have to say about it. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Well, this movie's a hot mess, is my initial thought that is blaring in my mind right now. But there's a huge negative in this movie that I'd like to get out first. Let's get out of the way. I really don't appreciate... I don't think the father should have been in this movie, period. The
Father character.
The father character, the guy who played him, famously got popped for child pornography and soliciting minors, and it's a whole nasty thing. And
registered sex offender.
And I just I don't like that they used his likeness. I don't like that
They still made
somewhere
him part of
he's
the
going to benefit from this. Like,
Mhm.
I thought that was in such poor taste. And they had a kids choir singing at his funeral, which I also, like, I don't...
Tone deaf.
I just thought that was so dumb. Like, I was frustrated, and I'm like and I loosely am in the outskirts and not affected by that whole situation. But I was just like, this is all just feels like you said, in bad taste. It's all in bad taste. Like, and that was honestly really hard for me to get over. It like really started everything off on the wrong foot with me. that was the decision that was made. I think it was a really stupid decision. It was really poor, and I don't know. That started everything with a sour note for me, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to push past it. I was looking forward to this movie. And I wanted it to be good. The original planned Beetlejuice 2 was Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii. And now I'm kind of like wishing that's the movie we got than this movie. This movie has like 4 too many storylines going. They wanted every single character in this movie to have their own storyline, which was way too much. If you're forced to divide your attention and your caring between 4 or 5 characters who all have their own things going on, and you're just like, you're not really caring about any of them. Like, it just was way too much. It was like, we got to have something for Jenna Ortega to do, so let's throw a storyline in. We brought back Winona Ryder, so we have to have a storyline. We got Michael Keaton, we got Beetlejuice, we got to have a storyline going there. We got the mom back, Catherine O'Hara, we got to have a story for her. It just was like, it was way too much, and none of it was defined enough to be good. It was like, okay, this is what we think this character should be going through for this movie. Well, you want to spell that out and really concentrate on the story? No, we just want to, like, have these points that we want to hit. We want to have almost a musical number, maybe even 2 of them. Like, we want to hit these funny moments, and let's just use incredibly bad storytelling to move between them all and to get from point A to point B. It was not great. And I really wanted it to be. I mean, there were some points where I laughed, I have to admit. There was a nice callback to the song that I sang for the beginning of this, which was like probably the hardest I laughed at this movie for that scene, just because it was the perfect use of that song choice. And there were like little things that it felt like at times it tried to recapture the magic, and I felt like it was close at times, but it just never truly got there to me. And I really felt like there were too many scenes set in a hallway that was from a House of Mirrors funhouse. Like, I get it. It was in the original movie. But there's so many scenes in this hallway in this movie. And it just was, like, way too much. It made me feel like you ran out of sets. So we need to have a scene explaining how we're getting to this place. We'll put them in the hallway and just throw something in there that'll help you get to that place. It just is very lazy. I'll give some props. I will always watch Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. I think he is good. I think he nails it. This one I felt was a little toned down. I felt like the script wasn't as sharp and as good as the first one, but I can't blame him for any of that. He certainly tried his Beetlejuice hardness. And I think everyone did okay in this movie. Like, Monica Bellucci is lost in this movie. There's no point to her character. There's no point to her entire storyline. There's no point to any of that, except for maybe to try to explain where Beetlejuice came from. And we didn't need that. We don't need it. Like, it just, it was a hot mess. I wanted it to be a lot better. And I don't, honestly, I don't think this movie stands on its own merit for me to say, yeah, go see it. Like, if you want to laugh a little bit and relive some of the original movie magic, maybe that's a case you could make for it, but I was pretty disappointed. And if you use this podcast to, like, gauge whether or not you should see a movie, you know, and trust what we say, I gotta say you probably want to skip this one. It's not gonna make the first one better. It's gonna be one of those things, I think, that taints everything going forward. That's kind of how I feel about it. It wasn't good enough to justify being made. That's what I'll say. Tim?
Yeah, so I fall in the camp of, I remember the original movie, but I didn't have the love affair with it that a lot of people did. You know, I thought it was fine. It was Tim Burton and kookiness, but it was weird, and it wasn't like a lasting legacy movie for me. So going into this, I was like, okay, sure, whatever. You know, it's been long enough. Maybe it'll be fresh. It wasn't. It was the same movie. It was a lot of the same beats. And to go what you're saying with the storytelling, the villains in this and there, you know, are plot devices only. They show up to do their bit and are out, and really have no bearing on our main characters, and they're barely in it when they are in it. And it was just kind of so why are they even here? It just, yeah, like you said, Monica Bellucci was wasted. She could have been really good as a foil, but she just walked around.
It kind of felt like
souls.
he was like, hey, remember I made that movie Corpse Bride?
Yeah.
Here's what looks like the Corpse Bride from that movie. I should put it in this movie, right?
And as you and I said walking out, Todd, like this felt like Tim Burton was like, ooh, I get to make something, you know, of my own again. You know, because he's had a run here of not so great movies the last few years. And he had messages to send and grievances to air. And he seemed to be out to make fun of all new age thinking and how we approach trauma and mental stuff. And he embodied it all into the Justin Theroux character and made him this like wimp to be made fun of. And I thought that was a weird choice, and his character could have been funny in the right hands, but he had a couple lines that made me laugh, but like I just was like, this is a weird way to focus your energy. And like you said, Keaton's doing Keaton stuff. He's clearly like, I'm here, I'm in the makeup, I'm having fun. I thought Catherine O'Hara was great. She always she never phones in. So she was just doing her thing and being silly and crazy, and I love that about her. So, but like overall, I think I saw somewhere on the internet like this. If you're a Beetlejuice fan, this movie's unnecessary, but you'll probably dig it if you love the Beetlejuice world. I don't have that attachment to it, so this to me will probably be forgotten as soon as we end this podcast. I just didn't think there was anything about it that was a, you know, lasting memory or a big star in Tim Burton's thing or anything. It just was like, okay, we're here again and we're entering this crazy world, and it's not inventive anymore, if that makes sense. Like the stuff he was doing back then with the weird stop motion and things were just weird. Like the first movie's weird. Yeah. And this movie's weird. So it's like, it's not like you're seeing anything different. You know, he just did more of the weird, and sometimes that works, and I think in this time, you know, he used more CG than he did stop motion stuff, so it looked even more not as creative. Like I feel at least the first movie you're like, wow, there's some weird stuff in this I never thought I'd see. And I don't feel like he had as much of the creative energy in this one. And I don't know. I just I like you, Todd. I thought this would be better than it was, and I feel like some of the funnier parts were in the trailer. And you hate when that happens. And I don't know. Yeah, like again, it's like I don't think it's a bad movie, but it's definitely not a great movie or a good movie, or, you know, it's not something that's gonna, I think, create a franchise here. I think it's just like, oh, we went back to that world, and if you love that world, good on you. You know, you'll probably love this movie, and whatever we say won't matter.
No, I love the first Beetlejuice movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess, like nope. I said, I don't have the attachment, so to me, it's just like, it's fine. I saw it. Great. So I am moving on. Marie.
Well, I love the first movie, and I've seen it several times, and I saw the show on Broadway.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I saw people in the snack line with a lot of Beetlejuice swag on, and I couldn't figure out where they got it. And then I remembered it was all the stuff we could buy on Broadway.
Ah, gotcha.
And I had this urge to walk up to them and go, "You're not gonna like this. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be so sad."
Yep.
I was really looking forward to this movie. Mm-hmm. I laughed once. Mm-hmm. I thought it was completely redundant. I agree with you, Todd. There were too many storylines. I thought every character was overacted, except for Astrid. It was just like over the top. And maybe our sense of humor has changed, and maybe the first movie was so very different than anything we had ever seen that was unique and interesting, and now we have different tastes. I'm not sure, because none of it was shocking, because it was all the same stuff, so there really wasn't anything new. So I really was fantasizing about how much an Uber would cost to go home because I couldn't leave because you guys needed the vehicle for the podcast. And so I went out and got French fries and got to skip 20 minutes of the movie.
Oh, wow.
So it's always a bad sign when I get up and go get food. So anyway, I was really sadly disappointed, and I disagree with you, Tim. I think if you love Beetlejuice, you should not go see this movie because you will be so annoyed by how either poorly this was done or it really wasn't a good idea to make a sequel because the first one just needs to stand alone.
Or you change the setting so much, like Beetlejuice goes to Hawaii, and it feels fresh and good.
It seems like a clever idea.
I mean, maybe if there was a different scenario, but it was. You're right. Essentially the same thing, and it was just so predictable.
Yeah.
And her father died. Oh, the husband dies. And first of all, if I had known that about the actor that played the father, I wouldn't have come at all.
Wow.
And that's just gross. That's just gross.
I thought for sure they were gonna just not write him off real quick.
That is so gross that they put him up on his pedestal, that character, when that actor, that's just disgusting. Yep. And so I would not have given my money to this movie if I had known that that's what they were doing. So don't go and see it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that was really
Yeah, I really thought, I mean, all the trailers made it seem like that
they were just
the catalyst of this movie is that he's died, and then that's it. Like,
yeah,
I never thought they were going to put him in the movie.
Exactly.
Like, and they really didn't put him in the movie.
No.
Like, they did, but they also, they put his picture. Like, it's just like, I'm like, why did you go through that effort? That's a lot of effort for a storyline that went nowhere, that wasn't
really
needed.
worth it.
Yeah, it almost,
but they were honoring. I thought. I didn't know anything about the history, and I thought, oh, how
the actor must
sweet.
have passed.
They were honoring his memory. He must have died. Like, I didn't know anything about that actor.
Well, that's what I was telling Tim.
Yes.
And so that's just disgusting. Yep. And shame on them.
It just felt like there was a part of this movie, and this is what makes it feel icky to me, is that there's a part of this movie that it just felt like Tim Burton was like, I'm going to create this character that's a complete joke on the sensitive male looking out. I'm going to put this actor in it still, even though people probably don't want me to, because I'm Tim Burton and I do what I want. Like, it didn't feel like there was any real reason to do it. Just to do it. And to like, to just have him in there to be like, because I can? I don't know. I just can't figure out why.
Like, they did a throwaway line for Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin's characters, so they could have done that with him too.
Yeah.
I don't, they're not back. Okay, got it. Like,
Right. Why couldn't they have gotten divorced? I don't know. Like, why did they have to, like...
It could have... The movie starts with his death, and
like,
that's it. Like, that could have just been it.
And then just moved on.
That
storyline went on forever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was gross. It was disgusting.
They tried extra hard to weave it through the movie to make it... I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Matt?
Not following that.
Well, and Matt's like, I loved it.
Unfortunately, I did not love it. I'm in the same camp as you all. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I didn't see it in theaters, but it wasn't long after that was the last time I saw it. We're talking decades since I saw the original. So, I didn't really have that tie to it. I came in, saying, what are we going to get out of this? I do like Michael Keaton as this character. Great. He was fine. But the story is terrible.
Yeah.
I like watching Winona Ryder. But the story for her character is terrible.
Yeah, you also go from, like, the first movie where she's, like, a super strong female character.
Correct, yes.
And then we start this one, and it's
and I like Winona Ryder. Yeah. And I like Catherine. And I like Michael Keaton.
I love Jenna Ortega.
I love Jenna. She did the best. I thought. Anyway, I'm not interrupting. I like all those actors.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. So it's not a good movie. It's not a good follow-up. It's not a good sequel. It's not a good standalone movie. Yeah. I mean, if you want some weird Tim Burton stuff,
there's other stuff.
there's other stuff to watch.
Better.
You know, go watch Edward Scissorhands. Great movie.
I'm wearing a Pee Wee's
Like,
Big Adventure
I think
shirt, which I think is one of his greatest movies.
And I think why I love the original movie so much, and I've done this before on the podcast, and it's probably not the last time.
Yeah.
It's comparable to me to Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's like the ludicrousness of the movie.
The first one, yeah,
is crazy out there, but the script is so tight. You're not wondering why is this happening. You're not wondering how did we get from point A. You're not lost.
No,
You're just so caught up in the craziness that it all works.
Yep.
Like, and I do mean it. I think the first Beetlejuice script is such a tight, funny script. Like, perfect mixture of humor at times and stuff like that.
Well, it was also
perfect mixture of it's taking itself seriously even though it doesn't need to because it's a comedy. Like, it just was that good.
And it was also out there and new, groundbreaking, and in a way that, like, you can be weird and it's novel.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't how weird can I be.
No.
This is what that movie was. It was how weird can I make this.
Yes.
And it got weird. And it got uncomfortable weird.
Yes.
Which is going to roll into the rating system. But Matt, please finish if you have.
I have nothing else to say other than don't see this movie.
Yep, there you go.
That's what I would say.
Well, getting down to it, the thing that's going to plague my nightmares for a while.
Go for it.
How many Beetlejuice babies do you give this movie?
Yes.
0 being the worst because then there's none. 5 being the best because then they're 5. But then really you have 5 Beetlejuice babies haunting your nightmares like they're going to tonight for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was... It's the exact example of what I mean. We were weird just to be weird. It serves no purpose. It does nothing to enhance the movie. And it just was weird.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to give this 1.1 Beetlejuice babies out of 5. It's slightly better than the last movie I gave a 1, which was Borderlands. And really only because the actors who are in this movie who I enjoy. Yeah. And there's nothing redeeming story-wise with this.
Yeah.
So
Fair. Marie?
1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's me feeling generous.
Yep. I think that too.
Tim?
Yeah, I think I'm right in the same wheelhouse. I have it at like I said, a 1.3 because I do think the actors were doing their best, especially Catherine O'Hara, who I think was took it from the beginning.
She knows how to play crazy.
That's what I'm saying. She just is like, I'm doing this all in no matter what we're doing. And
Yeah.
She might have even known that this wasn't going well, but she's like, I don't care, and I appreciate that.
Fair. Yeah, there's a couple other things that I'd like to mention that we haven't talked about yet about the badness of this movie.
Yes.
There's a scene where Beetlejuice goes to explain who his ex-wife is, and it just goes into him speaking. Was it Spanish? Like what?
It
like
was not Spanish.
what was it? I was like, I don't know what's happening.
It was a made-up language.
And like it just goes into like
It was
an audio clip over Michael Keaton talking
Like
that's in
an
a
old,
different
like
language.
1920s movie or something.
It doesn't play.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It went on way
It
too
was
long.
not funny. It was,
I just was like, this has got to be the most disjointed attempt at humor that has failed flat in my face that I've seen in a long time.
I didn't get
like,
what they were trying to do there.
I was so lost. That's it. I just want to touch on that about how I'm glad I wasn't the only one because I really was like, I don't know what's happening.
I'd already forgotten that scene. It was just so like you said, flat.
Yeah.
There was no humor in it. They weren't even trying to make jokes. Like they were just like, look how absurd this is. But it's like, but it's not. Like it's
yeah. I mean, I've already said the part that made me laugh the hardest in this movie, which was the song part.
Can I tell you my favorite part?
Oh yeah, please.
Please, we've crapped on it.
Yeah, we need something.
I thought.
When it was over. I burn!
No. I thought it was a very creative, inventive, and rhythmic use of a staple gun.
That's very good. Yeah, that scene.
Like even that stuff, that stuff to me, even though I was like, where it was still the beginning, but I was already kind of like, there's a lot going on here already. But I was like, okay, that's a nice mixture of CGI, practical effects.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
cool.
that feels.
I
I was like, now I feel like I'm in a Tim Burton movie. Like, and things are feeling like they should feel. I was like, that's a nice mixture. It just kind of dive bombed.
That was the highlight for me.
I get it. Yep.
I'm gonna land on a 1.2. I'm right there with everyone.
We're all right in that.
I just like, I want to give it more because I felt like there could have been more, but just I think almost every wrong decision that could have been made for this movie, I think, was chosen, and that's what we were left
Well,
with.
the only thing that they did right was them bringing back the part of the original cast that was there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise there would have been absolutely no reason to see it.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. They got as much as they could back.
Yeah, I would say if you've watched the original and you want more Beetlejuice, don't watch this. Go watch the cartoon.
Yeah, well, then the cartoon go on for a few
Just watch
seasons.
the original again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Watch
heard the cartoon was pretty good.
Cartoon was fine. Like weird and nice.
Or go see the
this
show.
was
Yeah.
yeah, go see the show. Don't see this though.
Nope.
Don't see this.
It doesn't.
It'll
I
ruin-
just. I hate
ruin
to
you.
say that because I am such a supporter of seeing
going to
movies
see
in
movies.
theaters.
I agree. Yeah,
I am
yeah.
such a supporter. Even movies I know you're gonna like. I'm like, if you want an opinion about it, you gotta go see it. But even this one, I'm like,
You can wait.
think twice.
Wait till it's free.
Wait. Don't even wait till it's free.
Yeah,
Wait-
no, I would
wait
say no.
forever.
If you have
Yeah.
some, if you have a morbid curiosity,
You never get those 2.5 hours back.
I'm not sure.
All right. Any last thoughts?
I think we've trashed it.
Yeah, I think we've thoroughly examined how this is a mistake.
A misstep.
A mistake.
Yeah.
A misstep. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we reviewed the movie Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. And we gave it an average rating of 1.15. Not Tim Burton, but Beetlejuice Babies.
Tim Burton babies.
Tim Burton
I mean, they
Babies.
basically are.
Beetlejuice Babies.
Shaggy head
out of
looking
5.
sunglass wearing babies.
So it's not good, and we don't recommend seeing it. But what we do recommend is continuing to listen to these podcast episodes. Please subscribe, download, do your thing, and we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.